everyone. How are you guys doing today? Now our exam 2 will be 1 week from today on chapter 11. That means this week we are going to finish chapter 11 and I will not do a review with you. However, good news, I'm going to do a review with my morning class because they are done in chapter 11. So I can do a review with them and I'm going to send you the link for the review. So you can watch the review link over the weekend and you can prepare yourself for the exam. There sheet with the question like the review sheet is on Brightspace. And all the questions in the review sheet are from our lecture notes. So if you need to see the solution, all you have to do is click on the video link for that section, you will see the solution. But if you have the solution written in your notebook, you just have to go through your notebook. Okay? And since there will be no word problems, that means you don't need any calculator. So just like your exam 1, there will be only one part of the exam without any calculator. Any question, comments, concern? I even forgot that. But I do have some extra credit in my mind. Okay. So I'm going to put some extra credit in the exam. So we started chapter 11 and we did 11.1 and 2 on quadratic formula, discriminants, complete the square method, and then we started solving some weird looking quadratic. They don't look like quadratic, but when you modify them, they become quadratic. So first we did fractions. We worked with fractions and we had 2 types of fraction. One is simple x and x squared denominator. That time in life is easy. You just bring everything to one side and then combine them, factor the numerator and then solve. The second type was something that denominator doesn't have x or x squared. It has something that is factorable. So you factor the denominator first. Oh, that question, something like this. So you factor the denominator, you take the LCD, and then do the same thing what you did before. But you also have to must check your answers. If one of the answers makes the denominator 0, you have to disregard that. And then the weird looking quadratics was triangles. Definitely triangles doesn't look like quadratic, but once we set up the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared, it becomes a quadratic. So we follow the same quadratic methods. And then we disregard the negative, which doesn't make any sense about the length. Then the next year was some type of weird fraction on the power. So we did one example. It technically didn't look in quadratic, but the condition says as long as the bigger power is 2 times the smaller power, then most likely we can factor, and then we set its factor equals 0, we solve for x. Continuing this, we had another one, but I'm going to skip that because we don't have much time. Instead, we are going to go a 4th degree power. A 4th degree polynomial, it doesn't look like a quadratic, but observe that 4 is 2 times 2. So bigger power is twice the smaller power. As long as the bigger power is twice the smaller power, we are allowed to factor if it's factorable, and then we solve. So can you think of 2 numbers multiply to 36, combine to 5? 5 and 4? 9 and 4. Negative 9, positive 4. Yep. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 minus 4 is 5. But since they're weird looking quadratic, so we're not going to put x as our variable. What would be our variable here? X is the square. So for all these weird type, we always take the middle one as our variable. So our middle one is x squared, so we put x squared. Even if it has a power? Anything with the power on the middle. The smaller one. We take the smaller one. Okay, and then anytime we have factors, our life is easy because we can set each factor equals 0, we solve class. If you want, you can actually factor more this one. Can we factor this more? What are the two factors? Plus and minus 3. We have x plus 3, x minus 3, because these are perfect squares. Difference of perfect squares. But this one is useless. So we bring it down. Then we take each of them and we set them equal 0. That gives us the first one is x equals, what do you have? -3. Second one, +3. And what do you do in the next one? It should be -2, right? But observe what happens. X squared is -4. So when you take the square root, it will be x squared 4i plus minus square root of 4 gives us 2 and square root of negative gives us I. This is 4x 2i. See? We have 4 solutions because our degree is 4. Usually, whatever degree you have that many solutions. Usually, not always. Usually. So you have 4 degrees, so you have 1 solution, 2 solution, 3 solution, 4 solution. 4 of them. Any question? And mostly in the final, they ask 4th degree polynomial. Okay, one example for you. It doesn't have 3 terms. It has 2 terms. Still, it's factorable. So think about the tree.
So I think we will move A1 to this side, and then we will make x squared equal to 9, x squared equals 2.
But
There will be 2x squared equals to 9. And I think x squared equals to positive negative.
okay. Good. And then
Am I correct?
first step correct. But you're not done.
And
Absolutely
then,
correct.
and then it will be x is equal to 3i. I'm not sure what it will be. Maybe
I'm doing on the paper, on the right side. Second.
So I broke it down into x squared minus 9 times x squared plus 9.
So this is x squared and 9 squared. That gives you x squared plus 9 and x squared minus 9. And then?
And then the one that's negative, I broke it into x minus 3 times x plus 3. And then I had x equals -3, x equals 3. And for the x plus 9, I had
3, x minus 3, x squared plus 9.
And for the x squared plus 9, I had x equals plus or minus 3.
See, got it, the trick. So you subtract 9, that gives us x squared is -9. We take the square root, that gives us x equals plus minus square root of 9 is 3, but square root of negative is I. So plus minus 3i. We check when you have a denominator or radical. Okay, question? Julia. No, this one is plus and this one is minus. So whenever minus, you can break down more because the rule says a squared minus b squared is a plus b, a minus b. If you have a plus, there is no rule. This rule is only for minus. Huh? We cannot break down plus 9 because the rule is only for minus 9. Minus in the middle. So anytime you have a minus in the middle and two perfect squares, you can break down more. But for plus, mathematician has no idea. And that's how you do it manually this way, but you end up getting a negative inside the variable. That's not such an idea. So this question has two real solutions, two imaginary solutions. Would you like to try the next one by yourself? Same concept. As long as the smaller part is twice the bigger part, you're fine. You can ignore the negative one as a small one. Whole. So 4 and 1 doesn't help us. So we broke down x to the 4 into x squared with another square. Because exponent rule says when you have two powers, you multiply them. If 2 times 2 is 4, x to the 4 is same as this one. Why we did that? Because we can use this formula. Because that 81 is 9 squared. So we have two squares and minus between them. That means we add them, we subtract them. When we add them, there's no root. It's done.
So the x plus 3 and x minus 3 only part of the
So it's for here. Because it's x squared minus 3 squared. So x plus 3 x plus 3.
the x squared plus 9, that's from there.
You guys will ignore the negative powers?
Like when I said smaller power is twice the bigger power, ignore the negative. Because technically negative 2 is smaller than negative 1, right?
Right.
But here we are doing negative 1 times 2, that gives us negative 2.
Positive first. Okay.
I said, what I was trying to tell you is that technically negative 2 is smaller.
Right.
But here, assume negative 2 is bigger. Why? Because you know the rule, it says smaller power times 2 should be the bigger power. So if you treat this as normal negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. We don't have any negative 4. So you treat this as a positive 2 and treat this as a negative 1. So 2 times negative 1 is giving negative 4. It makes sense. So you don't have to do anything. Keep it negative. It is factorable. Go ahead, factor to the max.
And square roots over negative and 5.
Yes, square root of negative, any negative under the square root turns into I. And square root of 9 will give you 3.
Like a real number, like.
Let's say square root of negative 7. So 7 is not able. It will be square root of 7 with the I.
Why is it plus 8?
Because the variable, anytime you put square variable, you can do choice. It should be a positive number, it should be a negative. You don't know which one. So we put up Can you think of two numbers multiplied to 20 combined to 9?
5 and 4.
5 and 4. How about the signs? Negative 5 times negative 4 is positive 20. Negative 5 minus 4 is 9, negative 9. So it is factorable. And what would be your variable? But I did not give you any x. X has 2 power and 1 power is the negative side.
Oh, yeah.
So which one?
The small one. X and 21.
See, that's what I meant. Technically, negative 2 is smaller. But here we treat negative 1 as smaller. That's what I said. Ignore the negative.
Okay.
I mean, ignore the negative in your mind, but make sure you keep it writing down. Keep writing down the negative, but in your mind, treat there is no negative. So in that way, you'll not say, oh, it's negative 2 minus 1, negative 2 minus 4, because professor says always use the smaller degree in your variable. Well, it doesn't make sense. So remember I said the middle one. We use the middle one. So we have x to the negative 1 minus 5 equals 0. X to the negative 1 minus 4 equals 0.
Question about the signs, but I'm so confused.
5 times 4 is positive. 5 times 4 is 9, right?
So yeah, I know that when like x's, you have to combine those powers. But so if we had x to the negative q and x to the negative 2 in the middle, we would put the
Is 2 times 2 is 3?
it's only if the middle power is twice the highest power.
No, if the highest power is twice the middle power. So for example, if your middle power is 3, your highest power has to be 6.
Okay.
If your middle power is, let's say, 5, the highest power has to be 10. It doesn't matter whether you have plus sign or minus sign, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you
The
just
condition,
when
the
you-
condition has to be twice.
Okay.
Okay, so we know x to the negative 1 is 5 and x to the negative 1 is 4. Julian.
I guess
We cannot. But it's asking for solve for x. We don't have x. We have x with a negative power.
you have to just multiply by 1. Oh my god.
If you multiply by a negative 1, it tells you positive 1.
Gotta raise it.
So negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. So he meant multiply power by negative 1, right, Chris?
Yeah.
So negative 1 times negative 1, we are happy, positive 1. So this doesn't give us any problem. We love x. The question is, what does that mean? 5 to the negative 1.
Means you raise the number to a fraction.
Great. So how fraction we get?
Yeah. Or left side, give x equals 1 and out.
What I can give it? It's a fraction, 1 over 5. Remember the rule? Let me write down the rule. The rule says x to the negative 1 equals 1 over x. So we are applying this rule and we get two solutions. X is 1/5 and x is 1/5. Right? Math is all about rules, exponent rules. So in this class, we are going to use exponent rules a lot. Would you like to have the same exponent rules again in this exam? 35 of them, like last time. Yeah. In summer, I taught 1023, and summer classes are 2 hours. So I had long time. So every exam, they had to do 35 of those rules. I gave them in every exam. I loved it. Eventually, they got all of it because they had seen it 4 times. Okay, this question we're not going to do because it's not going to be in the exam.
Those are the options, right?
Those are the answers.
Right. Okay.
So you notice that it's not factorable. Even though it's not factorable, but still it's solvable. So in the homework, there is one of these. Why you cannot factor, but you're going to solve. So when you cannot factor, no problem. We have our quadratic formula. Negative b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac whole thing over twice a. That's the quadratic formula. But this formula is only for x. Do we have x? No. We don't have x. We can. So what we're supposed to use here? We don't have x. It's x to the 4 and x squared. So which one should be this formula equal to? We don't have any x, right? Okay, observe what I'm trying to tell you. Ax squared plus bx plus c, for this is the solution. But now we don't have x squared, we don't have x. We have x to the 4 and we have x squared. So what this variable will be?
I'm thinking if we just put x and then after we find the answer with quadratic formula, we will come back with the x squared and x squared.
Or just look at the thing. This formula has highest degree 2, middle degree 1. So this equation is for the middle degree. In our case, we have x to the 4 and x squared. So this formula is for x squared, not for x.
So it's always for the smallest power.
So this formula is for the middle power. But they didn't say solve for x squared. They said solve for x. So
For the
from
middle.
here, how can you solve for x?
You have to square the answer of it.
Square root. We need to square root this answer. That's how we get double square root. So they cancel out. But since you square root of the variable, you get 2 solutions here. So your final answer is plus minus a big square root of negative b plus minus b square minus 4ac whole thing over twice a. Don't worry about this. This will not be in the exam or will not be in the final. It's in the homework only. And probably in the quiz on my MATLAB. So these are the answers. You notice your double square root, the plus here. Then you have minus, plus. Then you have plus minus, then you have minus minus. Because we have plus minus twice, so there are 4 solutions. But it will not be in the exam, okay? If you do your homework honestly, then this is for you. But if you use photomat, this is not for you. It's in free class.
The solutions, all of them the solution for this? Or
Of
just
course. 4 of them.
um,
So this is solution number 1. This is solution number 2. This is solution number 3. And this is solution number 4. Because we have one solution here, another solution here, another solution here, another solution here. 4 symbols to work with. So we get 4 solutions. Ignore, okay? If you don't do your homework honestly, ignore. I know most of you don't do the homework honestly, right? Most of you, not all of them, most of you. Doing honestly is the best, to be honest. Especially, I don't care what you do, make sure whatever we go over in class, you do them honestly. For example, these type of questions, if you see them in the homework, don't cheat, do them honestly. And you have multiple attempts. So even if you don't do it correct for the first time, eventually you get them. Keep doing it because those are the final exam questions. And definitely you'll see them in the important exam. So every questions I go over, Make sure you do them honestly. For the rest, you can cheat, you can go tutoring, you can get help from somewhere else. It doesn't matter what you do. Make sure you do my questions honestly. Because you can check. So you're done at 11.3. I'm skipping 11.4. So we can do it after 11.5 and 6. 11.5 and 6 talks about all about parabola. So we can write the same parabola two different ways, just like our names. Sometimes we write first name, last name, but sometimes we write last name, comma, first name, right? Same name, but we write different ways. So same thing, same parabola, but we write different ways. Depending on what you're working with, sometimes this format is helpful, sometimes this format is helpful. This format is called standard or vertex form. It's called vertex form because you can see the vertex here. And vertex means it's this thingy. Or if you have also done parabola, it's this thingy. These are the vertex. So let's say you are working with some scenario where you just see the vertex. That means this formula is the best. Because we have vertex there. But let's say you're not working with vertex. Instead, you need to find y-intercept. And this is the best. Because for y-intercept over x0, that constant is the answer. Or let's say you need to find x-intercept. If it's factorable, like this is easy. This is better. If it's not factorable, then this is easier. So depending on what you're working with, they both have their usefulness. So if you do have this one, you don't have to do anything for vertex. You just take H and K, putting them together, it gives us x below the vertex, y below the vertex. And since parabola is symmetric, so you can actually break them down into two equal pieces, just like our body. Our body is symmetric, so you can cut into two equal pieces. It's symmetric on outside, right? Not inside. We don't have two hearts. So if you cut down your body, only one side get the heart, other side down. But parabola is symmetric, so when you cut it down, you get two equal pieces, and the line you cut it down by is called axis of symmetry, because it breaks down your parabola into two symmetric pieces. And that line is a vertical, so it's x equals, and since this goes to the vertex, it's x equals the x below the vertex. However, this format is useless if you're working with vertex, because you don't see the vertex. Since you don't see the vertex, so they invented a formula to find the vertex. The x below the vertex is negative b over 2x. To find the y value, you substitute x value here, and you get the y value. And axis of symmetry is x equals the x below the vertex, so this is the formula. For domain, it's a parabola, so it's going on forever on y direction, so negative infinity to positive infinity. But range is the y value. So depending on what type of parabola you have, we have different ranges. If your x square is positive, so you have an upward parabola. That means your range has the smallest number, the y value of the vertex, and it's going on forever. So negative y value of the vertex until infinity. That's the range. But if you are working with Stephanie,
Is domain always the same?
always same. Domain means what x value we can substitute. We can substitute with any x because x square, blah, 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 blah. We have no problem. So negative x squared, upside down parabola. So we see the smallest y, we have no idea because it's going down forever. But the largest y is the y value of the vertex. So from negative infinity to positive y value of the vertex is the range. Negative infinity to the y value of the vertex. And here, y value of the vertex, you positive infinity. So it depends on your vertex, whatever parabola you have. And if you have the general format to find the x-intercept, the best thing is factoring. Anytime it's factorable, factor solve for x. If it's not factorable, you can use quadratic formula to get the x-intercept. If you have standard form, to get the x-intercept, you set the y0, so this is 0, and then you get rid of all of them one by one. You solve for x. And to find the y-intercept, it doesn't matter which format you have, all the x0, solve for y. And now we have all the necessary information, so we are going to do 2 examples. We are going to find the vertex, find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept. We are going to graph, and then we're going to figure out whether the vertex we got, does it give us a maximum point or minimum point? And we care about vertex because you always want to look for something maximum or minimum. For example, when you buy something, we want to get maximum number of items with minimum amount of money. See, maximum, minimum. Negative y value of vertex. My V looks like R. And this is positive y value of the vertex. The lowest one is negative.
So it has one side that goes to infinity, either positive or negative, and the other side stops at
Y
the
value of the vertex. Ready? Wait, okay, I'm waiting. Basic case, so good to see you again.
Thank you.
Remember, our exam is next week. Tuesday.
Oh.
Next week, Tuesday. So our exam will be exactly 1 week from today. I'm going to send you the review link after Thursday. I can do a review with my morning student. Okay, let's do one example. Find everything, all the information we just obtained from there. Let's start with vertex. Vertex is a point, so it has an x value and it has a y value. Do you see the vertex here directly? No. If you don't see it, that means formula. So the x value of the vertex, what's the formula for that? Negative b over 2. And if you observe the quadratic equation, the quadratic formula, look, this is the quadratic formula. And look at this too. See, if you take negative b and over 2a, that's actually the vertex, the x value of the vertex from the quadratic formula. Cool, right? So this thing actually came from the quadratic formula. Okay, so in this equation, what is our b? 6. 2 times, what is our a? Negative 1. So we have negative 6 over negative 2. What do we have? 6 over 2, which is 3. So we found our x value. It's 3. But it's a point, so it must be the y value also. Unfortunately, there is no formula for y. So to get the y, we substitute that into the function. Negative x squared plus 6x minus 8, and our x is 3 here. So negative 3 squared plus 6 times 3 plus 8. Now the exponent rule, not exponent rule, the rule I told you before. What is negative 3 squared? Negative 9, not positive. So negative 9 plus 18 minus 8. We can do this fast. 18 minus 8 gives us 10. So we have minus 9 plus 10, which is 1. So our vertex is 3, 1. That means our axis of symmetry is x equals what? 3. Axis of symmetry is a vertical line, and every vertical line has the equation x equals some number. And here it's x equals that number, vertex. So we found our vertex, everybody happy. Next, y-intercept is easier, right? Let's find y-intercept. We set x0 and we solve for y. So y equals 0 plus 0 minus 8, negative 8. Do you remember the point format? In y-intercept, x is 0, y is the number you got. See, x is 0. Lastly, we find the x-intercept. We do the same thing. We set y to be 0. And we solve for x. That means negative x squared plus 6x minus 8 equals 0. And we hate that because our x squared is negative. We don't want to use the formula. First, we need to check if it's factorable or not. We can check, but before we check if factorable or not, we hate that we have a negative here. Is there anything we can do to make negative x squared into positive x squared? Since we hate negativity in our life, just multiply by -1 everything. So x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. And now we are happy. Is it factorable? Can you think of two numbers multiplied to 8 combined to 6? -4 and -2. See, it's factorable, so we didn't have to waste our time on quadratic formula. Oh, I should put this one. My bad, I didn't realize that. So what is our x? And 2. So we have 2 x-intercepts, and let's say you're writing them as a point format. What would be the points?
0,
2, 0, and
4, 0.
4, 0. So the finalism, they actually prefer points. For me, I don't care. So we found vertex, we found y-intercept, we found x-intercept. Now we can sketch a graph very well. But before even going for sketching, First, we want to know what type of parabola you're dealing with. Positive or negative? Negative. So what will be the shape? Upward or upside down? So we have an upside down parabola that has x-intercept. Oh man, why put it a little bit to the left? One, two, three, four. So at 2 and at 4, we have two x-intercepts. Our y-intercept is -8. Let's say this is -8. And we have vertex 3, 1. So this is 3, 1. Our vertex is at 3, 1. Our x-intercept is at 2 and 4. Y-intercept is -8. And we know we have to draw upside down parabola. So we connect all of them and we get our parabola. My MATLAB wants you to also draw axis of symmetry. So this is the axis of symmetry. You write x equals 3. What do you observe? Do we have a maximum or a minimum in this parabola? Maximum. So this is our highest point. It gives us max. So the question is asking, is the vertex a minimum or maximum point? So vertex is the maximum point. How do you what does maximum mean in real life? So in this graph, do you have the highest point or do you have the lowest point? Nothing's going on forever and ever. Do you have the lowest point? But do you see a highest point? That's all. Any question? Was anything unclear, confusing? No? Nobody has any question? Are you guys sure?
Is it gonna be on this?
Of course.
Do you want us to draw the original one before with the sketch, like for the past example?
But no, this is not transformation.
Okay.
This sketching. When you sketch, you sketch. For transformation, you're going to draw the original one. Okay, then you try one. And then you will move on to another one. Do the same thing. Find vertex, x-intercept, y-intercept, axis of symmetry, and then draw. Which part did that get? So you guys try.
One. One. But from the get-go, we're gonna be able to tell myself. What about the? Um,
You try to get here.
That's why I draw a line with GTFA.
Oh, yeah, I gotta make it.
Like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, wait. Ouch. Yeah, I told him they can't. Oh. Yeah, I'm actually. Wow. Yeah. Um, I do.
Oh my God. Minus 5. Minus 9. Okay, so maybe yeah, fine, we'll go ahead. But negative 4 minus 5. No. Minus 5.
So let's see quickly.
Whatever value
So our vertex H and K, which is X and Y. X is negative B over 2A. A is 1, B is negative 4. So negative 4 over 2 times 1. That gives us 4 over 2, which is 2. Then we replace into the original equation. So y is 2 squared, 4 times 2 minus 5. 4 minus 8 minus 5. We get negative 4 minus 5. That's negative 9. So this is 2, negative 9. Thank you. Y-intercept is the easiest one. So y equals 0 minus 5, which is negative 5. So 0, negative 5.
You want to put the point forward?
You should, because the final lesson they require you that. X-intercept, x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0, and it's factorable.
It's 5 and then,
It's 5 and 1 and sign.
negative 5.
5 has to be negative because of the middle, and 1 has to be positive. So x minus 5, 0 gives us x is 5, which is 5, 0. X plus 1, 0 gives us x is negative 1, which is negative 1, 0. And our axis of symmetry is the x value of the vertex. Since it's x squared, so we have upward parabola this time. And we have negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, positive 5. Y is, let's say, negative 5 here. Vertex is 2. And let's say this is negative 9. So 2, negative 9 is the vertex. Negative 1, negative 5 is the y. positive 5 and negative 2 is the x. You connect everything with the parabola shape. The middle line is axis of symmetry in negative 2.
And the vertex is the middle.
So what do we have this time? Maximum or minimum? We see the minimum, the least point. Any question?
Do we have to leave a line in the middle? So dash line?
For exam, no, but for homework, yes. The next one, I'm not going to do everything. I'm just going to show you the vertex. So the format is y with some type of leading coefficient a, x minus h squared plus k. That's the general, that's the standard format. Now, if you compare this equation with the format, you can see your a, right? What is our a? Negative 1/2. We can see our h. What is our h? It says negative h is 2. Then what is the h? Negative 2. And we can compare this. It says, what is our k? Negative 1. So a is the same number, negative 1/2. K is the same number, negative 1. Only the h changes its sign. So h is the opposite sign of the middle. Everything else, they keep their signs. So vertex is hk. That means, what is our vertex here? That's it.
The HK, you just put the vertex.
H is the x below the vertex, k is the y below the vertex. So put them together, negative 2, negative 1. And that's it. So this is helpful only for the vertex. If you are finding vertex, it is helpful. Otherwise, it's very bad. Because to find the x-intercept, you have to solve. To find the y-intercept, you have to solve. So you have to do lots of work for x and y-intercept. Only the vertex is the easy one. So in the exam, I'm going to give you one of those, not that. But I showed you that for vertex, whatever number you put in the middle, it changes sign to get the point for the vertex. Okay, so we are done with everything about vertex, x-intercept, y-intercept graph. Now we are going to transformation. Oh, not transformation, sorry. Transformation? Oh yeah, transformation. But you already did transformation, right? So you don't have to do anything. Let's do just one question. What if you have graph? Let's say y equals negative x minus 3 squared plus 2. What this negative means? What type of parabola? So negative in the front means you're doing a reflection. And negative 3 inside your square means which direction?
Right? Okay.
Right 3. And plus 2 after your parenthesis. Up to. So it will say graph by graph using transformation. Graph using transformation. So you're not doing any math, you're just doing the transformation. So we draw the original one. So this is a transformation. And then we take its reflection. That reflection goes 1, 2, 3 right, 1, 2 up. We don't have to find the exact x-intercept or y-intercept. It's just a sketching. So this is y equals negative x minus 3 square plus 2. Do you remember the transformation from exam 1? All the transformations are same, just the shapes are different based on your parent graph. So you're going to have one of the transformation in the exam. One, the real question, find vertex and everything, one transformation. And now, Julia. Yes, square, because the whole chapter 11 is about x square. Now we are going to do backward quick. The graph will be given, transformation will be given. You have to figure out the equation. It's easy because you can see these two. The problem is with the leading coefficient. Here I give you leading coefficient 1. But not every transformation will have leading coefficient 1. It may have some other number. So we have to find out what is the leading coefficient for this transformation. But before that, let's do the example on the left. Equation is given and many graphs are given. Which of the graph is the correct graph for that equation? You notice that we did not give any number on the graph. So numbers are not needed.
I take it back.
B. Okay, one guess is B. Another guess? Just guess it, no problem. So you think it's C. Any more guesses?
Wait,
I'm just taking guesses.
okay.
Guess. Which one is correct?
For the equation, okay.
Given. Which one makes sense?
What makes
Another vote for B. There is no number. They didn't give any number. So 2 votes for B, 1 vote for C. Any other votes? It's a free country. You can guess anything you want.
I'm gonna say E.
Okay, 1 vote for E. Any other votes? No? The one is start with E. E cannot be the answer.
There is no negative.
See? Our x square is positive. But all these graphs are downward, this x square has been negative. Yeah, I'm taking guesses, so I can fix the guesses. Okay. So guess number 1 cannot be right because it's not downward.
I
Now,
think it's C. Yeah.
okay. And now I have even. So how do we know which one is correct? Definitely B or C, Julia. How do you know you're going left 4? But this 4 is B, not your H or K, not your H. So if you had this format, then it makes sense you're going left. But it's not this format, it's a different format. It's a general format. Chris.
Because the vertex is negative B over 2A.
So let's see, why is our vertex? Good start. We get stuck, right? We know it's definitely B or C, but then we have no idea what to do. Let's see what is our vertex. X should be negative B over 2A. So what is our B here? Over 2 times? 1. So negative 4 over 2, which is? So which of these two as the x value -2.
Yeah, we'll be right.
See? Our vertex here is -2. Our vertex here is +2. So the winner is 3-1. 3 people voted. Any question?
So if you do a vertex.
You see the answer already.
You see the answer. You don't have to do like extra work or anything.
Hmm. It says find. So find it. Show what means
Yeah.
how did you figure out?
Yeah,
Well,
just like the
using
vertex,
vertex.
you don't show like extra steps like the solve of y and so.
No. We don't need to. You can, but you don't have to. Okay, so now going backward. The graph is given. Figure out what's the equation.
The equation,
The equation of this parabola. What is the equation of this parabola? We have no idea, right? We know it's parabola. So when you don't know the equation, it's always best if you start with the vertex format. X minus h squared plus k. That means you have to memorize this format. Memorize. And we know that h and k gives us a vertex, right? So what's the vertex in this parabola? So our x value is 2. What's the y value? -3. That means this is our h and this is our k. So we could at least replace these two. This is 2 and this is -3. So far we found that our formula is this. Y equals 8 times x minus 2 squared minus 3. Right? This is what we found so far. Our h is 2, in our case, -3. So you're almost done. But here one problem. What's the A? We don't know what's the A. Just because you don't see an A doesn't mean it's 1.
no, that's
You have to find out.
on the original equation, we don't lose that at all.
Right. Here, with the original one, x squared has a 1 in the front, so it was 1. But how do we know this one has 1 in the front, not any other number?
Is that a different one?
Of course. It's 2 different examples. This is example means 2 different examples. So for this question, graph is given, we need to figure out what's the equation we have. In here, they gave us the equation, we just figured out the graph. The 2 different questions, 2 different scenarios. So how should we figure out A? Any idea?
What is the A? Because the A, what does it mean? Is it
A is the leading coefficient.
the leading coefficient?
We don't see the leading coefficient in the parabola. It's not visible. That means you have to solve. But in order to solve for leading coefficient, we need to replace x and y with numbers. Otherwise, how can you solve when you have 3 variables?
So we take 1 point from the graph.
Great. If we replace x and y with some numbers from the graph, then we have only 1 variable to solve, and then we replace. We're done.
So I'm thinking y value will be equal to 1.
Which point you are taking?
Yeah.
This one?
Yes.
It's a good point. Y-intercept. So in this point, our x value is 0, y value is 1. Let's use that. Y value is 1, x value is 0. That means now our equation becomes 1 equals 8 times 0 minus 2 squared minus 3. And now we are happy. We have all the things are number except for 1 variable. So go ahead, solve for it.
So 1 equals to 1. 1
Mhm.
equals to 0.
1 equals 8 times. Remember, Panda says whenever you have something with parentheses, go with that first. And then Panda says, whenever you have your exponent and you can work with that, go for it.
Inside it will be negative.
Yeah. Is it 2? So I wrote 2.
And the answer will be
So we treat A like an X.
Variable.
Like, okay, so it would be 1 equals 4A minus 3.
Perfect. And now solve for A.
So it would be, we take the negative 3, remove it to the other side. So, it would
So we add 3.
be 4 equals A4. So A would be 1.
Mm-hmm.
Is it correct or maybe question?
In the exam, definitely your A will not be 1.
It's just in this example it is 1.
Mm-hmm. You got lucky, so that's it's 1. But in the exam, the question I'm going to give you definitely will not be 1 for A.
So for y we put 1, but how you put 0 for x?
It's a point, right? What's the x value at this point?
So then we'll just find 1 point, and from that point we can count all of them.
So you take 1 point from the graph. It doesn't matter which point you want to take. You can take this point, you can take this point, you can take this point, any point that goes to the corner of your square.
Can we try with another point?
Yes, but in the next example. So that means the equation is y equals 1 x minus 2 square minus 3.
That's it, that's the equation.
So we have no more variable except for x and y. Just like normal equation. X and y, no more variables.
For the final answer, we put 1. It should be there.
Are we just gonna be asked to find the equation and then plot the graph? No.
Because graph is already given.
What if they want us to do a transformation? We're not gonna be asked to do that.
For transformation, you draw the original graph and you draw the transformed graph. 2 things. Same concept, but this time they didn't give you a graph. Instead, they give you a point x and y. So go ahead and see what's the coefficient you get this time. It says write the equation of a parabola. The parabola is a vertex at 2 negative 1.
Is this with the equation that we just saw? Y equals AX?
Anytime you are finding the equation, make sure you start with that formula. So what is the equation of that parabola, which has a vertex 2 negative 1 and goes to the point 1, 1? Vertex is here. 2 negative 1. The vertex is H and K. It's the smallest point here.
Yeah, so the red point is the vertex in that one?
Yes. 2 negative. Right here we take 1. Let me fix it. It's 3. And these are actually final exam question. Hold. Right, some. Start with this. Because this is the equation of any parabola.
We put the, when it goes 1, 1 is the x and y value.
Exactly. X and Y, 1, 1. H and K is 2 and negative 1. Of course, you start with this. This is your first line.
With my
So this should be a fast line. In this equation, this is the x, this is the y. So this is the x, this is the y. X is the vertex, this is the h, this is the k. So h and k, now solve for a, and then divide with b.
Solve for that.
Because that's a leading coefficient, we don't. H here, and this is xy.
Thank you.
So, what do you have? Y equals
1/2
1/2.
parentheses x minus 2 squared minus 1.
Okay, minus 2 minus 1, right? 1/2, we have to check. Anybody got something different? What do you have?
Y equals -2.
-2 and then x minus 2 squared?
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. They're opposite of one another. Let's see who would be the winner. Anyone else? It's okay. The more mistake we make here, the better we prepare for the exam. Okay? Any more suggestion? Any more guesses? Any more answers? I got 2 of them. I mean, pretty sweetly, you got this, and Stephanie, you got 1/2. Julia, what do you have? 2.
Wait, I'm gonna do it.
No problem. Janelle, did you do it? No, not yet. Nazima? No, what?
I got 2 as well.
Okay, so another 2. How about Joe? Did you do anything? No, why not? Christian? 2? More vote for 2s. You got 4? Interesting. Tanvir, did you make it? 2? Let's see where you guys made the mistake. No problem. Y equals a x minus h square plus k. This is the equation for any type of parabola. So anytime they are asking for to find the equation of any type of parabola, start with that. In this parabola, they gave us y is 1, x is 1, h is 2, k is -1. So 1 equals 8 times 1 minus 2 square minus 1.
Yes.
Hamda says do this first. So 1 equals 1 minus 2 gives us,
-1.
and then we do -1 square, which is 1, right?
Yeah, positive 1.
So we add 1 to both sides, and 8 times 1 is A. Is C. Since A is 1, that means our equation is y equals, so since A is 2, y equals 2 times x minus 2 squared minus 1. So Gerald, did you find out why did you get put? In fact, 0, so they gave you 1. We put 0 before because that point was actually a 1. Oh,
Get rid of the negatives.
Because we're solving for A. So I actually missed one line. Uh-huh. So it's here. 1 equals A minus 1. To solve for 1, we solve for A, we add the 1. So that gives us A is 2. Stephanie?
So I just got the H and the K confused. That's where I got one from.
The first one is H.
The first one.
Huh?
I think one of them is, one and a half.
Yeah, I did that. It's plus 1. So it's plus 1. So we add 1, we got A equals 2. So we replace A with 2, and yeah. And then real life, you're going to skip. No more real life in this exam. We are going to skip real life here. We'll do it after the exam. No, this one we're skipping for this exam. We are going to learn in the next exam. And in real life, why do we learn stuff that will not be the exam? Because class is not all about exam. It's about learning. What do you need to learn for your next level or for your future? That's it, to learn a lot, but everything will not be in the exam. But trust me, compared to other instructors, I'm actually babying you. I'm just teaching you all the materials you need for the exam. Okay? Which I'm not supposed to, but I'm doing it so you can pass successfully. So instead of real life, I'm going to the inequality because inequality is much easier. So now we know how to draw a parabola, right? We know it very clear. So in this section, we're going to draw parabola to figure out our solution. So this section is about inequality. Inequality and equal sign, they are not same. When you're working with equal sign, we call them equation. But when you work with inequality sign, we call them inequality. And we have 4 types of inequality. Less than or equal, only less than, bigger than or equal, only bigger than. There are 4 types of inequality we have in our life. These are this. So anytime we are working with inequality, we don't get x equals a number. We get a solution set from this number to that number. Because inequality is not one solution, it's a bunch of solutions inside a set. And for most of the inequality, we must use the number line to figure out which interval is inside our solution. Please.
Sorry, might have said this, but are we gonna go over this later?
Exam.
For
This
like
will be
the
the
next-
exam.
I thought it was always good.
We have 2 choices, either put real life scenario or inequality. People said we hate real life scenario. So I said, okay, then inequality will be the exam. The 2 choices I gave you last time. Which one you want to have in this exam? And everybody said we hate real life scenario. Do you remember? So inequality. Actually, it's not bad. Trust me. I told it this morning. It wasn't bad. So you can actually watch the recording if you find this is confusing in this part. In my morning class, I wanted to slowly, because my class had more time. So a few things you have to remember for inequality. One thing is it's not one solution, it's an interval of solution. So all the answers you get in this section will be interval, not just a number. It means all this time when you solve for x, because x equals a number or 2 numbers. But now it means it's an interval, not one number or 2. Second thing is when we work with interval, we have either this or this or this or this. There are 4 types of interval we have. So how do I know which intervals will be in our solution? Well, it's based on whatever inequality you're starting with. If your inequality has no equal sign, all these boundaries will be parentheses. So this one. Inequality. Bigger than sign, less than sign. This is bigger than or equal sign, this is less than or equal sign. And these are parentheses or brackets.
So,
So if you don't have an equal sign, your intervals will have parentheses only. But if you do have an equal sign, you're going to get brackets as your answer in your solution. And for infinity, it always takes parentheses. Positive infinity, negative infinity, doesn't matter. If your interval has an infinity in one end, that end always have to have parentheses. The other end is a number, and that number depends on the equal sign. If you have the equal sign, that number will have brackets. If you don't have the equal sign, that number will have parentheses. Now, it's like you'll see example and then you'll see what this means. I'm just giving you the rules so you can do the work. For example, this one. It says solve the inequality. Solve the inequality. What does it mean? It means try to solve for x, but since it's inequality, you're not going to get x equals the number. You're going to get x inside x parentheses or bracket. Not dom. Yeah. The concept we used in domain, you're going to use concept, same concept there. Not same, similar. So solve. See, this is solve. Remember, I said anytime you see solve, what do we want to see in one side? 0. Do you have 0 in one side? No. So step 1, do something. Right to the left. So we see x squared minus 3x minus 10 bigger than 0. Now what does it mean? It means we have a function. We want to see where this function is bigger than 0. What is bigger than 0? What does bigger than 0 mean? What value? We want to see where this function has positive numbers. That's the goal. This equation has both positive y value and negative y value. Where do we have the positive y value? Well, we really like doing it. The method I want to show you is what type of equation we have. What is the shape of this function? It's a quadratic, it's a parabola, right? So we already got half of the answer. It's a parabola. What type of parabola? Upward or upside down? Upward. So we have upward parabola, and we know our y-intercept is negative 10. So this is definitely negative 10. And we can see that this point is positive, and this point is positive, right? We can only see all of these. It says where this is positive. Well, this is positive on the upper side. The problem is, what are your numbers?
Oh, is that what we're back to?
See? Zero. See, he's so smart, he already found them. He's positive, negative 2, and positive 5. How did you find that? What did you do?
well, it's like that. I just found what equals -3. No one.
He factored.
And then what's the price?
Mm-hmm.
and then add that into 5,
Positive 2.
positive 2, and then I just need.
So x minus 50 gives us x is 5.
It's greater than.
Mhm. X plus 20, x is 2, negative 2.
Greater than a sun.
This is the function,
Right.
but when you solve for x, you cannot use the bracket
You can't use it when you solve for x.
because it doesn't make sense. Just because their product is positive, it doesn't mean they are positive. For example, this is positive, but this is not positive. What called? If
Like,
you factor them, two numbers multiplied to 10 combined to 3. What are the two numbers? 5 and 2.
yeah, that's like 10 and then I'm seeing that's x squared.
X squared minus 3x minus 10. When you factor, you are finding two numbers multiplied to 10 combined to negative 3. The negative 5 and 2 gives us negative 10 and gives us negative 3. So these are the two factors. Negative 3 was given. You can do anything.
You're saying 2 in the 5 makes negative 10, but
2 times 5 is negative 10 and 5 minus 2 is negative 3. So negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10.
how does that work though? That,
Search factoring on Google.
no, I know like that, but how does like that?
No. So let me tell you from the beginning. You ignore the sign, okay? You look for two numbers multiplied to 10 combined to 3. So we know 5 times 2 is 10, 5 minus 2 is 3, right? So you write this down. x5, x10, x2. 5 times 2 is 10, 5 minus 2 is 3. Now this 3 has a negative sign. So in order to guarantee that we are going to get negative 3, our 5 has to be negative sign in the front. Because the bigger number must have the middle sign.
So the numbers that you choose to factor have to
Multiply to the
multiply
constant,
and subtract.
add to 3.
And that would be like,
So when you multiply them, it has to be C. When you add them, you have to have B. So we have positive, negative 5 and positive 2. That gives us negative 3.
but one more question, please. X minus 5 and then x plus 2.
When you
I-
FOIL them back,
I don't really get that.
when you FOIL them back, you're gonna get diagram. And then our goal is to get those numbers to the back intercepts. So in those numbers, our y is 0. So we say the first one equals 0, second one is 0. That gives us 5 and 92.
How can you find and like add in the equation?
FOIL, multiply.
Oh, it's FOIL.
So we found this is negative 2, this is 5, and we have this portion is positive, this portion is positive. So what is our solution? How are you going to write that our left portion is positive? It says, give us all the x value for which you have positive y values.
This, parentheses, negative 2,
No, so this whole portion is positive, right?
yeah,
So for this portion, what is the smallest x you have?
negative 2. No. Oh, 0.
No, negative infinity.
Oh my god.
See, this portion is going on forever. So our x is going on forever. So the smallest x is negative infinity.
Following the y.
We are looking at the y's, but we are taking the x. This These represent y. So y, this bigger than 0 means y is bigger than 0. For which x or y is bigger than 0. So for these x, our y's are bigger than 0. For these x, our y's are bigger than 0.
Okay.
So we have negative infinity to negative 2, union from 5 to positive infinity. You tell me, what would is negative 2 and 5 get?
-2 get parentheses, and yeah,
Didn't
It
you say that
depends on,
on the signs? Yeah, so it's parentheses.
it cannot have bracket because see, bracket means it's an equal sign in the inequality. If you don't have the equal sign, everything is parentheses. So this is parentheses, this is parentheses. It's because the original one did not give us an equal sign. That means they're asking us find all the x values for which the y value is strictly bigger than 0. If you put -2, this whole thing becomes 0, right? So y becomes 0. They did not ask for y equals 0. They said y is bigger than 0. Cannot be 0.
Can you show us the number line? Because I get confused when I try to draw it on the line.
What do you mean number line?
They still have to pull the number line?
Okay, so this is the easiest method I wanted you to use. If you did not understand, no problem. There is a second method. In the second method, we use the number line. So we have negative infinity to positive infinity, and then we have two numbers, -2 and +5, and our equation was x minus 5, x plus 2. We want the result to be positive. So which of the intervals gives us positive outcome? We go to each interval separately. First, we go to the first interval, and we take any x value from there. Negative what? -3. So we have -3 minus 5, -3 plus 2. We replace into the equation and see what y value we have for this x value. This gives us a negative, this gives us a negative. When you multiply both of them, we get a positive. And you're looking for positive because it's lying above the x-axis. So we are going to take this interval. In the next one, what happens for all the number between -2 to 5? So what number you want to pick? -1. Well, let's pick 0. We don't have to do any math. 0 is the best. So for 0, we have 0 minus 5, 0 plus 2. That gives us a minus, that gives us a plus.
the answer will be minus, that is why.
Minus means it's lying below the x-axis. We're not looking for something below the x-axis. And then finally, anything bigger than 5. 6. So it goes 6 minus 5 and 6 plus 2. This is positive. This is positive. So we get a positive back. And we are looking for positive.
So you don't have to do that necessarily have software equality, right?
You must use the number line if you cannot draw. But for quadratic, you can draw, so you don't have to do that.
So we can go ahead and instead of solving.
But first step is solving, and then second step.
Then we do the number line. After we find the values of x.
So our solution, -infinity to -2. and 5 to infinity. And this is parentheses because we don't have any equal sign. But I really like problem because it's taking time to the final result. He's a program problem and see what he's talking about. Well, anyway, so what we are. Goodbye, everyone. See you on Friday. Mm-hmm.